Hello and welcome to Reading Through the Bible in a Year. I'm Eric.
And I'm Linda. We're two tired, grubby people. We picked a bunch of wild apples the other day. Way more than we thought. We thought we had 2 bushel. We ended up with like at least 6 bushel.
Well, I've been telling you.
So we ended up doing all the jars we could find to fill with apple juice. And then we phoned people and said, "Do you want to do applesauce or apple juice? We'll bring them over and the equipment."
So we are reading in the Bible
Mm-hmm.
in Song of Solomon chapter 4 and 5
Exactly.
and Galatians chapter 3.
Yes. And we're after you have to do Galatians 2, so we can't chat. Because last night we did a prayer for my grandson who's been struggling with a horrible bone marrow disease, so pray for him. And we only did the Psalms 91 for my grandson, and we did our Ecclesiastics or Solomon reading, and didn't do our Galatians. So we're going to do double Galatians. So we need to get right at it.
So we'll try and get endeavored what we can get done. So Father in heaven, we thank you that we can look to you in our circumstances in time of need. When we are faced with things that we have no control over, that we can't do anything, we have peace in you because we know that you are in the situation.
Yes.
And we thank you. Bless the reading of your word now to us and all who join in. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Okay, let's go.
How beautiful you are, my love. How beautiful you are. Your eyes are doves behind your veil. Your hair is like a flock of
Not
goats
today.
streaming down Mount Gilead. Your teeth are like a flock of shorn sheep that have just come up from being washed. Each of them is matched, and none of them is missing. Your lips are like a scarlet thread, and your mouth is lovely. Your cheeks are like a pomegranate split open behind your veil. Your neck is like the Tower of David, built magnificently, on which hang 1,000 bucklers, each one a brave warrior's shield. Your two breasts are like two fawns, twins of a gazelle, grazing among lilies. When the day's cool breeze comes up and the shadows lengthen, I will get myself to the mountain of myrrh, to the hill of frankincense. Everything about you is beautiful, my love. You are without a flaw. Come with me from the Lebanon, my bride. Come with me from the Lebanon. Come down from the heights of Amanah, from the heights of Snare and Hemron, down from the lion's lair and the leopard-haunted hills. My sister, my bride, you have carried my heart away. With just one glance, with one bead of your necklace, you have carried my heart away. My sister, my bride, how sweet is your love. How much better your love than wine, more fragrant your perfume than many spices. Your lips, my bride, are drip honey. Honey and milk are under your tongue, and the scent of your garment is like the scent of a Lebanon. My sister, my bride, is a garden locked up, a pool covered over, a spring sealed shut. You are an orchard that puts forth pomegranates and other precious fruits, henna and nard, saffron and aromatic cane, cinnamon and all kinds of frankincense trees, myrrh, aloes, all the best spices. You are a garden fountain, a spring of running water flowing down from the Levron. Wow, she must have soaked in a lot of different stuff to smell like all that, eh?
She. Awake, north wind, come, south wind, blow on my garden to spread its fragrance. Let my darling enter his garden and eat its finest fruit. He.
My sister, my bride, I have entered my garden. I am gathering my myrrh and my spices. I am eating my honeycomb along with my honey. I am drinking my wine as well as my milk. And then the chorus says, eat, friends, and drink until you are drunk with love.
She. I am asleep, but my heart is awake. Listen, I hear my darling knocking.
He. Open for me, my sister, my love, my dove, my flawless one, for my head is wet with dew, my hair with the moisture of the night.
I've removed my coat. Must I put it back on? I've washed my feet. Must I dirty them again? The man I love put his hands through the hole by the door latch, and my heart began pounding at the thought of him. I got up to open for him The
Open
man I
for the
love. My hands were dripping with myrrh, and my myrrh ran off my fingers onto the handle of the bolt. I opened for my darling, but my darling had turned and gone. My heart had failed me. When he spoke, I sought him, but I couldn't find him. I called him, but he didn't answer. The watchmen roaming in the city found me. They beat me. They wounded me. They took away my cloak. Those guardians of the walls. I charge you, daughter of Jerusalem, that if you find the man I love, what are you to tell him? That I am sick with love.
chorus. How does a man who loved differ from any other? You must, you most beautiful of women. How does the man you love differ from any other, that you should give us such charge?
She, the man I love, is radiant and ruddy. He stands out among 10,000. His head is like the finest gold. His locks are wavy and black as a raven. His eyes are like doves of running streams, bathed in milk and set just right. His cheeks are like beads of spices, like banks of fragrant herbs. His lips are like lilies, dripping with sweet myrrh. His arms are rods of gold set with beryl, his body polished ivory adorned with sapphires. His legs are like pillars of marble set on bases of pure gold. His appearance is like the lavaran and imposing as the cedars. His words are sweetness itself. He is altogether desirable. This is my darling, and this is my friend, daughters of Jerusalem. Okay, now we turn. Oh, we forgot to do the two we missed. We did 4 and 5, but we didn't do 3.
We did in Song of Solomon. We just didn't do
Oh yeah, the
Galatians.
Galatians one. So now
We're
we
reading
do
Galatians
2
chapter 2.
and 3. Then, after 14 years,
I again went up to Yeshua, or Jerusalem, this time with Barnabas, and I took with me Titus. I went up in obedience to a revelation, and I explained to them the good news as I proclaim it among the Gentiles, but privately, to the knowledgeable leaders. I did this out of concern that my current or previous work might have been in vain.
but they didn't force my Gentile companion Titus to undergo Beret Shema.
In
Indeed,
other
the
words, that
question
circumcision, I'm
came
pretty
up
sure.
only because some men who pretended to be brothers had been sneaking in. They came in surreptitiously to spy out the freedom we have in the Messiah Yeshua, so they might enslave us. Not even for a minute did we give in to them, so that the truth of the good news might be preserved for you.
Moreover, those who were the knowledge leaders, what they were making, uh,
Makes no difference.
what they were makes no difference to me. God does not judge by outward appearance. These leaders added nothing to me. On the contrary, they saw that I had been entrusted with the good news for the uncircumcised, just as Kepha had been for the circumcised. Since the one working in Kepha to make him an emissary to the circumcised had worked in me to make me an emissary to the Gentiles. So having perceived what grace had been given to me, Yaakov, Kaphar, and Yochanan, the knowledge leaders of the community, extended to me and Barnabas the right hand of fellowship, so that we might go to the Gentiles, and they to the circumcised. They only requested was that we should remember the poor, which very thing I have spared no pains to do.
Furthermore, when Kepha came to Antioch, I opposed him publicly because he was clearly in the wrong. For prior to the arrival of certain people from the community headed by Yaakov, he had been eating with the Gentile believers. But when they came, he withdrew and separated himself because he was afraid of the factions who favored circumcising Gentile believers, and the other Jewish believers became hypocrites along with him, so that even Barnabas was led astray by their hypocrisy. But when I saw that they were not walking a straight path, keeping in line with the truth of the good news, I said to Kepha, right in front of everyone, If you who are a Jew, like a Goy, and
Live like
not
a
like
Goy.
a Jew, why are you forcing the Goyim to live like Jews? We are Jews by birth, not so-called Goyashi, sinners. Even so, we have come to realize that a person is not declared righteous by God on the ground of his legalistic observances of Torah commands, but through the messianic Yeshua, trusting faithfulness. Therefore, we too have put our trust in Messiah Yeshua and become faithful to him in order that we might be declared righteous on the grounds of the Messiah, trusting faithfulness and not on the grounds of our legalistic observances of Torah commands. For on the ground of legalistic observances of Torah commands, no one will be declared righteous.
But if in seeking to be declared righteous by God through our union with the Messiah, we ourselves are indeed found to be sinners, then is the Messiah an aider and abettor of sin? Heaven forbid. Indeed, if I build up again the legalistic bondage which I destroyed, I really do make myself a transgressor. For it was through letting the Torah speak for itself that I died to its traditional legalistic misinterpretations, so that I might live in direct relationship with God. When the Messiah was executed on the stake as a criminal, I was too, so that my pride ego no longer lives, but the Messiah lives in me, and the life I now live in my body, I live by the same trusted faithfulness that the Son of God had, who loved me and gave himself up for me. I do not reject God's gracious gift, for if the way in which one attains righteousness is through legalism, then the Messiah's death was pointless.
Chapter 3. You stupid Galatian, who has put you under a spell? Before your very eyes, Yeshua the Messiah was clearly portrayed as having been put to death as a criminal. I want to know from you just this one thing. Did you receive the spirit of legalism, observances of the Torah, commands, or by trusting in what you heard and being faithful to it? Are you that stupid, having begun with the Spirit's power? Do you think you can reach the goal under your own power? Have you suffered so much for nothing? If that's the way you think, you suffered certainly and will have been for nothing. What about God, who supplies you with the Spirit and works miracles among you? Does he do it because of your legalistic observances of Torah's commands, or because you trust in what you heard and are faithful to it?
It was the same with Abraham. He trusted in God and was faithful to him, and that was credited to his account as righteousness. Be assured then that it is those who live by trusting and being faithful who are really children of Abraham. Also, the Tanakh, foreseeing that God would consider the Gentiles righteous when they lived by trusting and being faithful, told the good news to Abraham in advance by saying, in connection with you, all the Goyim will be blessed. So then, those who rely on trusting and being faithful are blessed along with Abraham, who trusted and have faith and was faithful.
For everyone who depends on legalistic observances of Torah commands lies under a curse, since it is written, "Cursed is everyone who does not keep on doing everything written in the scrolls of the Torah." Now, it is evident that no one comes to be declared righteous by God through legalism, since the person who is righteous will attain life by trusting and being faithful. Furthermore, legalism is not based on trusting and being faithful, but on a misuse of the text that says, "Anyone who does these things will attain life through them." The Messiah redeemed us from the curse pronounced in the Torah by becoming a curse on our behalf. For the Torah says, "Everyone who hangs from a stake comes under a curse." Yeshua the Messiah did this so that in union with him the Gentiles might receive the blessing announced to Abraham, so that through trusting and being faithful we might receive what was promised, namely the Spirit.
And we'll stop there because we ran out of time.
Yes, so thank
And-
you for joining us again
yes.
today. We'll pick up tomorrow on
Verse
verse 15.
15.